is that when Democrats have been in power, we've been timid about passing things that make a difference on their lives. And
oh my God, he said the most obvious thing in the world. Yes, Tim Walz, 2028. More, say this, but like exactly, but like a lot more, and louder, and more aggressively. Because the Democrats need that punch in the face right now. They really do. Just advocate for the obviously good things. And when you get power, fucking do it. Tim Walz is taking a very important first step here. I'm an Uber contract worker and you got me paid family leave. Wow. That's something that they could do. Done. Then you win. Then you win the election. You need to be aggressive. Aggressively do good things.
So if you were really serious about communicating a message that resonates with people, you wouldn't be talking about just negotiating in a different way for 10 drugs. You would be talking about putting a cap on the amount of money that any drug company can sell drugs to any American.
is that so hard?
It's not. It's really not. Governments could do it. The richest country in the world could do it. I don't know. Why don't they think? Why don't they use their brains? It sounds like Chris Murphy just found a brain. Where has he been? Why didn't he criticize Joe Biden? Bernie had the guts to say this shit for a long time, and he took a lot of shit for it, and he was right.
But Tim Walz is getting up, and at the very least, he is acknowledging the problem. And this is the start. We need leadership in the Democratic Party that acknowledges some form of reality.
Right.
And this is like literally almost the first that we're hearing of it.
But this issue around healthcare and the issue around Medicare and the things we're talking about, we've got people now that are
what the fuck?
Exactly like this story, worried about basic human right of healthcare and decency in their life. And I own this. The idea that millions of people stayed home because they didn't think there was any difference between Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, and myself on the ticket, they didn't think that. And we need to acknowledge that. I think one of the reasons is that when Democrats have been in power, we've been timid about passing things that make a difference on their lives. And
oh my God. Oh, fuck. He said the most obvious thing in the world. Oh my God. Yes. Tim Walz, 2028. We're so fucking far in the shitter that I'm looking at this and I'm just like, oh. Like I literally, like, you shouldn't feel chills through your spine for a Democrat being like, you know what, we haven't delivered enough on healthcare. We should deliver more. And just like really taking it and owning it. Like, yeah, like we definitely need to do better. And like Walz is so good because it's not like he can even say this. He, as governor of his state, expanded healthcare for people, expanded access to healthcare for people. So like, he's not even the bad guy here. The party is, and he's just able to actually say it. Holy fuck. The bar is so fucking low. The Democrats are so in the shitter that him just saying a very obvious thing that will clearly and obviously play well with people is just like fucking music to my ears. It's cathartic. More, say this, but like exactly, but like a lot more, and louder, and more aggressively, because the Democrats need that punch in the face right now. They really do. I don't know what to say. As if the Trump defeat wasn't enough of a punch in the face. As if running a geriatric candidate who couldn't fucking hold his own on a debate stage and hiding him from the public for 4 years straight. As if all of that charade crumbling down and falling around you wasn't enough of a punch in the face. They need to wake the fuck up. How many times do they need to get punched in the face before they realize that they need to make a fucking difference and actually change and do something? Tim Walz, look, all I'm saying is he's owning it right now, but keep up with this and be more aggressive. Punch those dusty ass, old ass Democrats in the face over and over again until they realize that they need to keep up with the more like economic populist vision of this country, which actually provides healthcare for people, which provides paid family leave, which provides basic shit, can make sure that the minimum wage is increased, that makes sure that we don't have this oversaturation of wealth, like that is increasingly being accumulated in the hands of a smaller few as a proportion of the population size, which is growing. Like, fucking just advocate for the obviously good things. And when you get power, fucking do it. Trump is not the man to get you won't and then to not do it. He's gonna do it. If he said, I want to build a wall. He's going to fucking try. Now, he was retarded and completely unprepared last time, and he didn't make the wall like a big pillar of his candidacy this time. He decided for a slightly more effective but barbaric strategy of, fuck it, we don't need the wall. We'll just fucking boot them out and make it really scary for people to be living in America, unless you're an American citizen. So he decided to go the fascist route. And then people were like, you won't. And then he was like, watch me, bitch. And then he's fucking doing it. Now, he's doing evil things, and he's breaking the law to do evil things. Why don't the Democrats try? Why don't the Democrats try? They're so fucking afraid to break the rules. They're so fucking terrified. And you know why? Because they know that the Republicans will hold them accountable. And they just proved to themselves that they won't hold the Republicans accountable by not actually prosecuting Trump. They weren't able to fucking put the guy away in jail before he won presidency again. So that case basically just got fucking tossed aside. The one where he was convicted of felonies. And all of those other cases, which one was just disastrously mishandled by Fani Willis. I blame her infinitely for what happened there. And the media who overfocused on her association with the case rather than the merits of the case that she was making. And of course, more than anything, Merrick Garland for being feckless and completely unwilling to actually prosecute the people in a timely manner for the crimes for which there was ample evidence for them having committed. I don't know, man. It's fucking insane. My point is, the Democrats have proven themselves over and over again that they're not they're not even willing to play by the rules. Like, you could have very, very easily and fairly gone after Trump much sooner for the Jan 6 stuff, for the false for the stolen documents, from from the falsified documents and the business records. So you could have gone after him for all this shit so much sooner. The evidence was right in front of your faces, or at least a year after Biden was president. There was certainly more than enough evidence. You know, the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case was happened a bit later because, again, Biden was being way too kind in letting Trump get away, and the administration was being way too kind in letting Trump get away with having all these documents that they knew that he had that were classified and needed to be returned. He was warned many, many times, and very, very patiently, they didn't go after him until they finally needed to. Like, they were so weak in going after him, so weak. And so it's just like, and I think that's it. Like, they know that Republicans aren't weak, that they will make things up to prosecute Democrats. And the Democrats are so deathly afraid of doing something or breaking the rules slightly because they know that the Republicans will make a fucking storm, right? They'll blindly see that effective strategy on the Republican side, which prevents them from doing good things. And they won't recognize that that's a political strategy that they themselves could be using to bully the other side into not being fucking fascists. But they don't have the strength to do that. And they don't have the fucking introspection to recognize that that's a flaw that they have, that they're not willing to fight against the fascism, effectively. That, yes, that means getting your hands dirty and imprisoning people who do fascist things, like trying to overthrow the legitimate results of an election. That's what you do. When people try to steal your fucking democracy, you put them in jail. That's not hard. That shouldn't be a hard thing to fucking engage with. Have a trial. Do it publicly. Show all of the evidence. Once the evidence is there, it will be undeniable. The Republicans can cope and lie all they want about it. But again, the Democrats are so fucking afraid. You know how Benghazi, does that ring a bell? Remember how fucking hard the Republicans went on some bullshit, bro? Now imagine that amount of stirring up shit and trying to accuse people of doing horrible things, but they actually did a horrible thing. That is, try to overturn the results of an election. If it was a thing that they actually did that was actually horrible and you could prove it, then just do that and then imprison them. I don't care if it's going to be controversial. The Democrats don't understand this. They don't understand that politics. So what I need going forward, and Tim Walz is taking a very important first step here and acknowledging the very obvious thing, which is that the Democrats need to fucking deliver on the shit that they say that they want to do, or else people won't believe them when they say that they want to do those things. And all of if you don't stand for anything, all of the disingenuous attacks about you being super pro trans or whatever, all those stupid wedge issues are going to matter so much more to regular voters, because they're going to be like, well, what the fuck else do the Democrats stand for other than trans rights or whatever? They're so woke, right? Because they don't have the other things to focus on. They don't have the fact that, oh my God, you just fucking got me paid family leave where I didn't have that before. I'm an Uber contract worker and you got me paid family leave. Wow. Wait, that's awesome, right? That's something that they could do. And if you did that, A lot of those Uber drivers that might have been fucking swayed by the weird, oh, the Democrats are so woke that all they care about is trans issues. They'd be like, I don't know. The Democrats got me paid family leave and I'm a contract worker. Done. Then you win. Then you win the election. It's not that fucking difficult. You need to be aggressive. Aggressively do good things. That's it. Aggressively do good things. You will never lose. It's so simple. And yes, you have to be mean to do that. Rich people, the powers that be, that don't want to see their power be shrunk in any way, who only want to see it grow to infinite size by their fucking despicable, disgusting, infinite greed, they're going to be angry at you and they're going to throw shit your way that's going to make it hard. You get angry at them back. It's time to be aggressively good. What the fuck? These people, these billionaires, I know you don't want to say it, and maybe Pritzker's your best bud or whatever, they are evil. Pritzker does not deserve as much money as he has right now. He should have his wealth cut by 90%. Guess what? If we did that, he'd still be a 100 millionaire. See, he'd still be fucking just peachy, okay? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear you whining about and bitching and moaning about, oh, I only have $100 million. Shut the fuck up. We're taxing your shit and using it for good things, goddammit. Because that's how we win. By building a fucking society that actually functions for people. It's not that fucking difficult. Be aggressively good. Be aggressively good. And be meaner. Keep it up, Tim Walz. This is a very, this is cathartic because it's the first step of reconciliation. Damn, we didn't do the right messaging. We didn't go the way that we should have gone in our messaging. That's great. You need to be angrier at the people who steered our messaging in that direction. And you need to tell them very clearly that that strategy is not what we're doing going forward. This is just how I feel about it.
Why?
I'm so fucking mad.
Why do we have citizens that are in this situation? Why are we at that point when we are the richest nation on earth and yet our outcomes are 41st and we spend twice as much as any nation next to us? We should demand a redo of this system in a way that makes a difference on that, because I think it's very hard that we have to win elections, but good politics follows good policy. And the ACA was an improvement, but let's be honest. The ACA is still a pain in the ass to get things paid, to get things done.
Yes.
It's important protection like pre-existing conditions, but
yeah.
it's still
Ding,
too
ding, ding,
expensive.
ding.
And so what I would say to you is we need to tell your son that we need a healthcare system that he doesn't have to worry that one election could throw him out and into the streets. That one election would make a difference.
Facts. Like that, but more angry.
This is the first time that we've heard Democrat.
That's my only note. My only note on that is be a little bit more angry. Maybe in that particular context, Tim Walz actually did fine. But broadly going forward, more angry.
Politician, national level Democratic politician, admit this about the ACA.
Yep.
And it is exactly the case. Do we have that?
We should do that Murphy thing
Yeah, do we have
next,
that Murphy
I think.
thing? Yeah.
Be mad
this
if
is
I
also
lost the race,
City,
dude.
QB clip this, but I'd recommend everybody
Holy
watch
shit.
the whole Chris Murphy interview.
That was tricky.
Again, he's not my pick for president. I think he's more of a Senate creature. I wish he'd be more interested in replacing Schumer, but it seems like he wants to run for president. Either way, this was really...
I don't want Chris Murphy as president. I don't want Chris Murphy as president. Next.
Around,
I'm just saying it. As, yes, Senate Majority Leader would be way better. He would be, if I had to pick one of those two, then yes, please God, be the Senate Majority Leader. That seems like way better to me.
a similar topic about the ACA, and he says the same thing, that it's not sufficient.
I see a Democratic Party that is way too comfortable with corporate lobbyists. A Democratic Party that, God bless that we can negotiate the price of 10 drugs.
Yeah.
And that's a huge victory. If that doesn't send the message that this party is utterly out of touch with, it's not a party that understands, it seems, the power and leverage that government can have to fight corruption. It seems altogether too comfortable being a part of the corruption.
So listen, it all started during the Wall Street crisis of 2008. The Democratic Party is supposed to be the party that breaks up the...
First, only thing, just gonna pick them. Of course, it didn't start in 2008, but our recovery, Obama kind of fucked us. Okay, that recovery was not for the people. It was mostly trying to skirt the bankers and give them a pass for them playing with our money in ways that should have been illegal. those mortgage-backed securities and the credit swaps, credit default swaps, and all the weird fucking games that they were playing with high-risk assets, fucked us. And the Obama administration seemed more interested in making sure that those people were able to have a couple slaps on the wrist in terms of their institutions, but like overall preserving the people and not like prosecuting the people who had done the bad thing, right? Not going after the bankers. He basically acted as a shield against the very justified rage that the public had against the people who had been playing with your money and playing with our economy. But that didn't start with Obama. I'll reference the point that Cenk makes a lot, and I think it's one of the true things he says. This started when we started allowing like endless corporate cash to flow into politics. Like when we did away with Citizens United, or rather not did away with Citizens United, when that case was ruled, like politics sort of changed forever. And I think like it worsened, and the corruption in a sense sort of deepened during Obama and during the 2008 financial crisis and in the sort of rebounding from that. But like, it's not, that is certainly not where it started. I'm nitpicking the fuck out of Chris Murphy. I'm sure he's about to say something that I agree with, so let's just let him finish his point.
Banks, not the party that bails out the banks, right? And it was that day the Democratic Party started to lose credibility.
Before that, isn't it maybe it's Jimmy Carter opening up trade, it's Clinton deregulating?
There's two things that's really interesting about this part of the exchange right there. One is, again, this is criticism of Obama, and a growing recognition in the party that Obama never delivered on, and maybe some of it was projected upon him, but never delivered on the promise of providing change, which at that, which was a pretty amorphous thing. But Obama had the opportunity, and this is well documented. Barney Frank told this story originally until he became a bank lobbyist, I think it was, that he had gone to Henry Paulson, who was the, was he chairman of the Fed, Paulson, or was he the Treasury Secretary? I think it was the Fed, and he is Secretary of Treasury. And the plan was, you have two options. This is in the fall of 2008 after Obama wins. And there's a financial crisis. And the banks are over leveraged. You could do what FDR did, which was bail out the homeowners who own these homes, give them the money so that they could pay the banks and pay down on their principal, what they bought the house at a very inflated price, bring down the payments of their interest payments so they could continue to pay. Or you could pay the banks and then ask the banks, will you provide mortgage relief?
And then maybe the banks will.
Said that Bush was willing to do the former.
Unreal.
But they need sign off from Obama. And when Barney Frank went to Obama and said, Paulson says they're ready to do this, Obama said, nah, we got one president at a time. Mm-hmm. And so this little dance prevented, or at least became the justification for why there was no money given directly to homeowners. And when Obama gets in, he lets Tim Geithner, who was handpicked by a guy named Froman, who was a Citibank executive, essentially a Robert Rubin proxy. And what did they do? They paid off the banks and said, please provide mortgage relief for people. And what the banks did is, not really.
Get a little bit.
It's bonus season, and we make a lot of fees when people go on their way to foreclosure. And you had about 3 million, almost 3.5 million foreclosures in this country. And Obama effed it up.
Yep, that's two, by the way, financial crises.
Again, I'm saying he made it obviously way, way worse. And I was trying to express that. But it didn't start with Obama. Like, for Obama to be the guy that talks about hope and change and then to very immediately pivot to let's protect the banks, that's something that's systemic of the Democratic Party and something that's been building for long before Obama got there.
Bails out the banks, right? And it was that day the Democratic Party started to lose credibility.
Before that, isn't it maybe it's Jimmy Carter opening up trade, it's Clinton deregulating the financial institutions? This is a long history of, even when you think about Medicare or the...
Keep going, I'm sorry.
ACA. Oftentimes, those are just subsidies. Corporations love the ACA. They're making a shit ton of money, billions of dollars.
So this party has become addicted recently to sort of writing people checks.
He just keeps saying it's recent. See, I thought for a second that I was nitpicking, but I was right, actually, to call it out. And Jon Stewart's right to call it out, too. Because it's like, no. We have to agree that this has been building for some time. Right? And that this isn't just like something that just sort of magically popped into existence because of an economic downturn or because of Obama, or I don't know who you're implicitly blaming this on, but like, yeah, it's much more systemic.
In order to compensate for the way in which the economy is rigged. I'm not saying that the child tax credit
now
is...
Now we're getting somewhere, baby. Come on! Now you're talking, Murphy! Let's go!
So I'm not saying, right? I'm not saying that the child tax credit isn't a good thing, or a little bit more money for your Obamacare subsidy isn't a good thing. Right. But that doesn't make people feel good that you're having to give them a little bit of money to compensate for the fact that work doesn't pay in this country. That drug company CEOs are making out like bandits buying their seventh house. Right?
Hallelujah! Hallelujah!
So if you were really serious about communicating a message that resonates with people, you wouldn't be talking about just negotiating in a different way for 10 drugs. You would be talking about putting a cap on the amount of money that any drug company can sell drugs to any American.
Is that so hard?
It's not. It's really not. Governments could do it. The richest country in the world could do it, and it could make people super happy, and it would make us one of the most prosperous nations to have ever existed, and continue to ascend our rise into the global annals of history. But no, the banks would be mad. The rich people who hold insane amounts of power, and for whom we're basically admitting we concede to them our power because they have way more influence than we do. We have to care about their feelings. We have to care about their feelings more than just doing good things for people, which would help us get elected and then reinforce our power as Democrats. I don't know. Why don't they think? Why don't they use their brains? It sounds like Chris Murphy just found a brain. Where has he been? Why didn't he criticize Joe Biden? Like, I want to understand genuinely the dynamics within the Democratic Party that prevent Chris Murphy from being able to say this all the way up until the fucking Democratic Party literally keels over and fucking dies. Because Bernie's been saying this stupid shit for so many years, and people just kept fucking dismissing him. People like Chris Murphy would be dismissing of him, and Dean Phillips, who are dismissive of him for criticizing Joe Biden and running against him in a primary. Where did the stones come from, Chris? Why, what changed, bro? What changed? And why didn't you have the strength to create the space that you're so very rightfully arguing for right now? Why didn't you have the strength to create that space back in the day? Why didn't you want to form coalitions with the people who might be willing to make some of these criticisms that you're making of the party right now that might have pushed them to go even further? I might be a little unfair here. I'm sure that there's some extent to which Chris Murphy worked with the likes of Bernie Sanders, AOC, other progressive / justice Democrats, the squad, etc., to maybe push Biden a little bit more to the left. Maybe he's done that behind the scenes. I don't know. But I think if you cared about these issues and you wanted to build a coalition, that would be the first thing that I think about. I would talk to these people and I'd say, you want to build something, right? You want to be like the people that started building the thing, right? Let's do it. To AOC, like, get that call started. Get that with Jamal Bowman. Get that with Pramila Jayapal. Wait. We have to. No. We have to get on the same page with the existential nature that the Democrats are presenting us with right now, which is that we keep saying that we want to do good things and we're not going nearly far enough. Certainly not in a way that's making a difference in people's everyday lives, that's going to convince them to vote for us over the fascists that's making a bunch of other promises that he can't keep. And that will absolutely and completely fuck this country. Where was that, Chris Murphy? That's all I'm saying. That's why I'm so resistant to this messaging from him right now, because where the fuck was it? Bernie had the guts to say this shit for a long time, and he took a lot of shit for it, and he was right. And he was fucking right, and people are recognizing it now, and it's like really popular to be like to say all the things that Bernie's been saying for 10 years straight that everyone in the Democratic Party, including Chris Murphy, dismissed him for. But like now it's cool. I'm just saying I'm not tossing Chris Murphy out just because he wasn't cool. Like if the dice is rolled and the cards fall where they do, and I have to pick Chris Murphy versus, just say Cuomo, for like who's going to be our next 2028 presidential candidate, then obviously Chris Murphy. Like him being able to say this now is, and where some other Democrats are quite uncomfortable, is already a better step in the right direction. And he has more of that institutional legitimacy that makes it easier for someone like him to have that maneuverability within the Democratic Party. But like at the same time, I'm kind of wondering, like, where was this leadership before, man? Like, I want to see some sort of examples of you bucking the party and breaking from the norm much sooner than when we lost to Trump a second time, by the way. You know what I mean? And I don't want to harp on it, but like, what was Chris Murphy saying about Joe Biden? I don't know. Maybe Murphy was better on the issue than other Dems were. it's annoying that the Democratic Party can't like look inward and criticize itself sometimes, or it feels that way. I don't know. It's very akin to the Republican Party. They also do this. People who go about face from what Trump wants get fucking cast aside and fucking rolled and shitted on and farted on and pooped on. They can still exist. They're not excised from the party, which is the difference between the Dems and Republicans, because like when Bernie disagrees, they'll excise him. And it's why people probably like Chris Murphy and AOC feel a little bit hesitant to go out and directly criticize the Democratic Party. You see it in the way that they construct their political speech with everything that they say. It's as if they can't tell the truth because the party's feelings will get hurt. I will tell you this, the party is not a person. The people that make up the party might get their feelings hurt, but they need to hear this shit. If you love something, you should speak honestly with it, you know? If this is how you honestly feel, Chris Murphy, then why haven't you been able to express that? Where has the action been? That's all I'm saying. I'm happy he's saying it now. I get hesitant trusting somebody who's saying that now who wasn't already saying it before. I'm not saying that Bernie's our only guy. I just like, maybe I just need more examples of Chris Murphy bucking the sort of Democratic establishment norms that I haven't seen. Maybe he has been doing that. Maybe there's some banger tweets someone could pull up that would prove that he's actually been better on this. But I don't know, man. I need more. It's the same with Pritzker. I'm like, I just feel like you've not been tested enough, and I don't trust you. I'm sorry.
The government subsidizes these corporations with billions of dollars and demands nothing in return. And isn't that the foundation of a governing philosophy? Maybe they could put it in a book. They could call it Project something. Like, is that work?
I mean, what's annoying here, though, is you notice what Murphy doesn't do. He shifts the conversation
Call for Medicare for all
from the ACA to drug prices. But again, like, not willing to go and say we need Medicare for all. I mean, it's just.
Well, that's why Walz should be in the way too early 2028 frontrunner thing. Walz, not Murphy. But that's what I'm saying. Murphy is the.
Thank you. Okay, I am at least happy that the Majority Report is sort of in agreement with me in being a little bit more critical and skeptical of Chris Murphy here, right? Like, I am a very online politics type dude. If I haven't heard of you or enough of the things that you're doing, then I don't really know if I can trust you. Like Gillibrand said a bunch of other progressive shit during her run for the presidential primary. Kamala Harris also said a bunch of progressive shit that she didn't actually believe. All I'm saying is I've seen this shit play out way too many fucking times, and I don't trust you, bro. Maybe I'm wrong. And again, if you force me to pick between like a Newsom type and a Murphy type, I'm 1,000,000,000% Murphy, but I'm just saying, I think we got better candidates out there. Certainly Walz is making a better case for himself, for me at this point, even despite him being associated with the unfortunately disastrous presidential election that just recently took place in which he and Harris lost. Yeah, I don't know. But like, I don't know. I like that like way too early 2028 primary ballot list thing. I like it. At this point, I don't disagree that Tim Walz is probably amazingly our best bet. I sort of side with Emma here, certainly over Murphy, but there is still this itch in the back of my head that's like, okay, I don't see like exactly how Walz breaks through amidst a just recently disastrous defeat. People will keep associating him with the loss in 2028, and I think or 2024, and that's going to be a sticking point for people. That's going to be hard to push past unless he's louder about other things and is able to effectively distance himself from the Harris campaign, which, to his credit, he's been doing, not flawlessly, but he's been doing, I think, to some extent in a number of appearances that he's made across media. So I don't know. We'll fucking see, I guess.
The kind of guy that would be more open to left-wing arguments in the Senate if he were Senate Majority Leader, as opposed to being someone who leads on policy. I don't think he's the strongest presidential candidate. But I do think, like, it's encouraging regardless to see these arguments being made in the mainstream, and then you
That's true, at least. I'll take that.
see the polling about how Democrats feel about their leadership. They took resisting Trump seriously, and they're open to arguments right now that show why they're what they did incorrectly. And frankly, the arguments that are being fed by the consultant class aren't resonating. I saw a poll of Gavin Newsom after he's been doing these interviews with right wingers and playing footsie with them that he's dropped in 10 points in favorability with Democrats right now.
I
love it.
Support that.
I support that. But that's
wholeheartedly.
Like I don't.
It should be 20.
I think Chris Murray
should be 30.
More weaselly. This is why
100
for the Senate.
A
and
trillion.
The leader of the party.
A trillion point drop.
Like, he at the very least is acknowledging that this is a reality and isn't doing what there are fewer Democrats doing the Newsom thing, and that's an improvement.
Yep.
So
we haven't really talked about the Gavin Newsom thing, but let me just say, like,
we did on Thursday. I think we were out.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me just. I'll do a very short version of this. F
Okay.
that guy. Honestly,
So true.
like
Shit strategy. Hold on.